capacity 400 gigabit space lasers. Now these space lasers will allow high bandwidth traffic to flow uninterrupted between any 2 points in the world, but redundantly across a competitive laser mesh network. And if that wasn't enough, the V3s will carry 4 broadband radio frequency backhaul antennas. And these will take advantage of the Ka, E, V, and W communication bands, allowing for an 8 times improvement in supported capacity compared to the V2 sats. And that's a lot of growth in capacity and capability, and as satellite design requires more power. So the solar arrays on V3 will generate approximately twice as much power as the current arrays that we fly on the V2 satellites. And they're also optimized to reduce drag in the lower orbital altitudes in which these new satellites will operate. But before we operationalize these satellites, we want to put them in a flight-like environment. These satellites were loaded into Starship last week ahead of that first attempt. And once deployed, the Starlink team will only have about 20 minutes of flight to speed run some of these tests before the sats demise in the atmosphere. The team will attempt to run tests such as extending the new solar arrays and antennas, connecting with ground stations, and turning on the satellite's communication systems. And this is all part of SpaceX's iterative process to technology advancement. From the very beginning, Starlink was designed to scale rapidly and improve continuously. From production to launch and ground infrastructure, Starlink is uniquely positioned to keep pace with rising demand around the world. In fact, just last week, we rolled out the next generation Starlink kit, the V5, which is built for reliable, high-speed home internet.
This is what funds the entire project. Yeah, we're very much looking forward to getting these at Starbase. Less power consumption.
All right, you heard from Tyler, a lot of work going on with Starlink. We've also started development on an entirely new satellite constellation, Starmine, our AI satellites. I got to sit down with Elon and Starlink Director of Satellite Engineering, Ian Dahl. We covered a whole bunch of stuff, really focused on what are the 3 limiting factors to making data centers in space reality. First one we talked about was mass to orbit. That's where Starship comes in. We're going to need megatons into low Earth orbit, and we're going to be combining its full reusability and the really big payload capacity to launch the number of satellites that we're talking about, because we plan to deploy up to 1 million AI satellites. And those are going to function as those orbital data centers using Starship for the high volume, low cost launches. A couple of really key reasons why moving data centers to space has advantages over building them here on Earth, which gets into our second limiting factor, which is power generation. So it'll be sunny in space. Satellites can harness that sun, that near constant solar energy, which is really going to be the only way to scale if AI continues to grow at the pace that we see, especially when you contrast it with all the challenges that you have here on Earth. Within about 2 to 3 years, we believe space-based AI compute is going to become the lowest cost option as those launch costs continue to drop and Earth-based constraints continue to grow. It's going to just transform how Earth powers AI, unlocks the future. And then our third limiting factor that we got to go figure out is going to be chips, and we got to do that fast. And that's what we're doing with TerraFab. That's going to be the most epic chip building effort ever. Not just churning out really cool advanced chips, but also building a massive scale location to do it. We're talking 100 million square feet, so about 10 Tesla gigafactories. All of this together sounds a bit fantastical, a bit out there, but these are real steps that we are taking right now that are going to set us up to eventually become a galactic civilization. That sounds really cool. I mean, harnessing meaningful amounts of power from the sun, supporting all of those AI applications that are going to change our daily lives, and making humanity a multi-planetary species. If you want to learn more, you can watch the full conversation on our website. Hopefully the link appears on the screen. If not, go look up Starmine. So the future is looking pretty sweet, but first things first, we've got Flight 13 ahead. Let's jump down to Kate and Nate for what's ahead.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, the future is built on progressive steps like today's test.
So let's dive into the flight profile that we're going to see today.
That's right, we've got an exciting day in store. So starting with liftoff, Super Heavy will ignite those 33 Raptor 3 engines right off of Pad 2 here in Starbase. We will then power through ascent ahead of hot stage separation, where the booster will shut down all but 5 engines at the bottom. Stage 2 will then light its own Raptor engines, pushing off from Super Heavy and starting our stage separation maneuver known as hot staging. We will then have the directional booster flip using 33 engines, and after coasting for a few minutes, the booster today will target a landing burn and ocean splashdown a few miles off the coast of Starbase.
Ship's going to keep the party going with its ascent burn to a suborbital trajectory, followed by deployment of those 20 Starlink V3 satellites. We also plan to relight a single Raptor engine. Re-entry is just a few minutes later, which should provide some amazing views thanks to Starlink, and typically we see some pretty fantastic views of the ship's blistering re-entry through the Earth's atmosphere. A plasma blanket will form around the vehicle and never fails to provide epic scenes. And lastly, we'll conclude today's test with a landing flip, a landing burn, and a splashdown in the Indian Ocean. And with that, let's kick it over to Dan for a
10 minutes.
update.
Thanks, Kate. Good news, we just heard from the flight director. We are T-minus 10 minutes. We're a little bit past that now, not tracking any issues for launch today. Range continues to be green. Our range team hard at work, making sure we're clear out in the Gulf and in the Indian Ocean, where we're going to be sending the Starship. Weather continues to be gorgeous. Again, no clouds. We scrubbed our attempt yesterday, or didn't even try yesterday because we had such poor visibility. We're going to be able to see those tiles on the way up. That's a key kind of experiment objective for this flight today. And so we're looking really good with weather today. In the future, we'll see what kind of adverse weather we can fly into. We are capable and allowed to launch into lightning, but we're going to utilize that new capability carefully as we eventually continue to evolve Starship to fly it and an airplane like Cadence. You can see the prop load there on your screen. We're just about closed out in the main tanks on the ship. We just started propellant load in the header tanks on Starship. Those are the 2 smaller ones up top that we'll hopefully be using for the in-space burn and a landing burn at the end of its mission. We started loading our propellant at about T-minus 35 minutes today, and we're going to continue all the way down until we're inside 3 minutes to launch. We'll close out at about T-minus 2 minutes and 50 seconds on booster, and then 2 minutes and 10 seconds on the ship. So at the moment, we're looking good. Down launch time, 5:51 p.m. Central, a couple of minutes into our window today. So we'll be back real soon. Toss it back down to Kate and Nate.
Thanks, Dan. Recently, NASA announced the astronauts for the upcoming Artemis 3 mission. The Artemis 3 mission is a crewed demonstration mission in low Earth orbit designed to demonstrate critical systems needed for future lunar landings. Astronauts Andre Douglas, Luca Parmitano, Randy Bresnik, and Frank Rubio, as seen there on your screen, they will crew the mission, and it's slated for 2027.
It's a great crew, and it's also the penultimate mission, the final test before Artemis 4 attempts to put astronaut boots back on the moon for the first time since 1972. We'll be launching a Starship with a docking port on the nose so we can practice rendezvous and docking with the crew. And one key test objective comes after docking, where we will be able to test out maneuverability of the vehicles together while in space. This has the new importance as the revamped plan for lunar landings use Starship to do the burn, sending astronauts to the moon from Earth orbit.
And one other cool ad, NASA is putting
She's the captain, my hero. She's as strong as can be. She made me run.
enabling 4K imagery and video. In 74, and he captured these sweet photos of Starbase during an ISS flyover. Hi, Neil. We're all waving back at you, buddy. It's awesome to see the whole picture here, as there's lots of facility and infrastructure development going on, but Starbase isn't alone on that front.
Yeah, it changes every day.
Yeah.
But talking about other locations, work is well underway in Florida to get pads 39A and Slick 37A ready for future Starship potentially later this year. Starship launches from Cape Canaveral are key to hit the necessary launch cadence to get back to the moon, build a moon base, head to Mars, all the exciting stuff ahead in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And that future gets closer and closer with test flight, today's flight. And with that, we are just under 6 minutes until launch.
So that brings us to Terminal Cal. Excitement is definitely getting traction down here as the crowd is gathering just behind us on the lawn outside, and happy to say, still not a cloud in the sky. Dan, how are things up at Mission Control?
Things are still looking really good, Kate. We are still not tracking any holds on the board, no issues with the vehicle or with the pad. Our range continues to be green, both in the Gulf and out in the Indian Ocean for flight today. We'll continue monitoring that all the way down to the final minutes. We are going to be closing out our propellant loading on the booster and the ship within the next 3 minutes. We're going to have about 11.5 million pounds of liquid oxygen and liquid methane on both of those stages once we're all done. Then it'll be time for the pad to essentially ready itself, where we clear out all of the prop that's been flowing through feed lines up into the launch mount, up into the tower. Those go back into the propellant farm, get it ready, and we'll do those final thrust vector control, those steering checks as we get a little bit closer. If we need to hold that whole time, it's new for this launch, and we saw it briefly on our attempt last week. That hold is set at T-minus 60 seconds now. That's where we can pause, we can wait. We need to just kind of hang out for any pressurizations, anything like that to clear. We've got a couple of minutes to hang there. We will only hold if there's an issue, and we're not tracking any holds on the board right now.
That's right. Now, once T-minus 60 seconds
420.
passes, a number of events will occur in rapid succession. Both the ship and booster will configure their comm systems for flight, and they will rapidly run leak checks on gas and fluid tanks. Meanwhile, the booster will be going to internal power, and its engines will get their final priming for launch. Those ship engines will also begin their ascent bleed profile, and it will arm its automatic flight safety system. There's a lot of mechanical activations on the tower side as well, with one critical step being unlatching of the quick disconnect feeding propellant into the ship.
And once T-minus 60 seconds has passed, we still have the ability to rapidly recycle the count under certain conditions back to that T-minus 60 seconds point and hold there to assess what happened and if teams can proceed once again to T0. There's an estimated 5 to 8 minutes of hold time, and that's largely driven by the propellant temperatures that we see on the vehicle while holding. The flame diverter on pad 2, you can see it there at the base of Starship, that activates at T-minus 17 seconds. Now, if we trigger a hold after T-minus 17 seconds, that will result in a scrub for the day, as we've already turned on the water. Now, for those that have just recently tuned in, once again, our primary test objectives for today's test flight includes a successful liftoff, stage separation. We also plan to deploy 20 Starlink V3 satellites. We have real satellites on board. We expect to have about 20 minutes of available time to speed run some tests and really allow those Starlink engineers to put them to the test in that time.
That's right, and we also have the soft splashdowns planned for both the booster and the ship. It's going to be super exciting to see if we can return those safely back, so that way we can get ready for tower catches again.
And just a quick check-in, we got our final green light from the range, not tracking any issues on ascent or out in the Indian Ocean for entry. So that was kind of a final go for flight that we wait for in these final minutes. Prop load now closing out on both vehicles. We had no holds on the board. Again,
2 minutes.
we've got that gate at T-minus 1 minute. We're only going to hold if there's a reason, and currently there are no reasons.
Coming up here in a few seconds, we should have, actually right there we can see on screen that
Mamita said pork barbecue. Dapat with rice.
those are the 33 Raptor engines, and we expect activating those thrust vector control actuators to ensure that those center engines and the inner radius as well have the ability to steer the rocket.
Yeah, super cool to see how fast those move. I mean, in flight, it's amazing to see how it steers the vehicle. We're coming up on that T-minus 1 minute now on our countdown, so let's listen in to see if we pass that gate.
Come on. Let's do this. Thank you for watching this with us. Thank you so much.
All Alright, we are through the gate. Still no holds on the board. 50 seconds to go.
We're counting down.
Starship getting ready to fly.
Oh, 45 seconds. Oh boy. Alright, now you can have the hype train going. This is the final phase. Oh. Every time this is like a so. Come on, you can do this. That will show. Here we go. 20 seconds. Come on, let's go. Let's have that hype train. Lift it up. Go.
-9,
Value system.
7,
Here goes.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes! Yes! We have the move! We have the move! Okay, we're on the road. We are on the road. Yeah, look at how fast it clears the tower. They want to do it faster next year. It's already halfway.
Booster after chamber pressure is nominal.
Wow! Look at this.
30 seconds into flight. 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit on the super heavy booster arcing away from us here at Starbase.
Beautiful. And watching that live is unforgettable. If you ever can, go do it.
Coming up on max Q, maximum aerodynamic pressure, which again for this flight is going to be higher than it has been on any of our previous Starship flights.
Nice paper cone forming. So this is the moment where they look for anything that falls.
So we're passing through that maximum aerodynamic pressure over a minute now into flight. Still seeing 33 out of 33 Raptor engines lit and burning. Our next major moment is going to be coming up in just a little over a minute from now, when we're going to get to hot staging. We're going to shut down all but 5 of those engines on the booster. It's our version of MECO. Most engines cut off. And then we're going to ignite the 6 engines on the ship while it is still attached, to do that separation. As a reminder, we try to do a directional flip. So when you watch on your screen, we're hopefully going to be sending that booster towards the bottom of the frame. For the booster itself, it's like doing a flip up. It'll go towards the bottom of your frame. We do that by lighting the engines, that slightly staggered sequence.
Go straight.
Standing by for hot staging. All but 5 engines down.
Yo, let's go!
6 ignite.
Guys, let's go.
Good engine.
Where's booster?
Good engine. Good booster.
And the booster now doing its boost back burn. It looks like we lit all 33 initially. Now we're down to 13.
Yes.
We're seeing 6 out of 6 Raptors lit
Let's
on the ship.
go.
This is so good. Ah, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Oh, this feels so good. Okay. I am very happy to see this. For everybody, this
And
was
boost back burn shut down. So it looks like we were able to get through the boost back burn this time around. It was one of the key objectives we didn't have on the last flight. And we've got 6 engines lit on the ship.
Okay. This looks fantastic.
All right, so that's the first of 2 burns that the booster is going to be doing to kind of send it back towards us. It's going to be landing a couple of miles offshore from Starbase. Hopefully, we're going to try and get it all the way down to do a landing burn, where we're going to use those 13 center engines. They're going to ignite. That's what's going to really bleed off all that velocity that it's built up. And it'll eventually, hopefully, transition to 5 engines to kind of fine-tune its path in, and then all the way down to 3 for the remaining bit.
I'm so happy right now.
All right, we've got a couple of minutes to go until we get there. So booster's going to coast for a little bit. Ship still seeing 6 out of 6 Raptor engines lit. 4 minutes into the flight, ship's got about 4 minutes left. Getting some killer views. Kate, Nate, how was the
Oh,
view
it's
from down there?
That's the
It was
booster.
incredible. I mean, it just shut off the pad and seeing all the crowd now running back inside to take views on the screen here. It was amazing.
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna learn to not stare at the engines because now I have a bright blob in my vision. Now speaking of vision, we can see both stages there on your screen. Starship second stage is still firing its engines. You can follow along with that with the GUI down on the bottom right hand side of your screen.
You can
Still
see
following
the
the
shadow of the
planned
launch
flight
tower
path
below.
as well. Beautiful views of planet Earth there behind the ship.
Beautiful engine rooms. Look at those engine rooms on the ship.
That's right, and we're actually getting a live shot off the booster right now, an
Oh, that's so
onboard
cool.
camera. You
God!
can see the plume from
Look at
Starbase
this.
where it just lifted off 5 minutes ago.
Oh, this is.
We
this is
are there.
awful.
We are there. That is us.
I
This
kind of
is-
want to run
look
back
at
outside
this.
and wave.
right. Now, again, this booster is not planning to come back to the tower or the launch site for this particular launch. We are going to be planning to do an ocean splashdown just off the coast of Starbase. So hoping to still get some amazing views of that.
Ah, this looks amazing. I'm sorry for talking so much, but I'm so inspired.
Pretty
by
awesome to
these
see
crystal
the
clear
Raptor
views.
engines there on the
Incredible.
left-hand side of your screen. We can actually see the plume there of those center Raptors. Those are the sea-level ones, as well as the vacuum Raptors are the three on the larger ones on the outer radius.
Now, just like on tower catches, we are going to be doing a 13-engine landing burn to slow the booster down. Hopefully we can get a live camera of the booster right now as we're going into that phase. Awesome shot, you can see
Here we
it
go.
there. So right now the booster is using their
Gliding
three
through the
hypersonic griffins to guide itself through the atmosphere toward its landing site. You can see we're only 5 kilometers above the sea right here.
God. Oh,
Just heard the call out for landing burn startup for the booster.
that doesn't look
Let's
good.
go!
I don't know, is it? I have no clue. Come on.
I have a feeling the crowd's about to go wild here.
Wasn't a soft splash down.
And another awesome landing for Super Heavy. Congratulations to all the teams here at Starbase and at our SpaceX team. An amazing, amazing view.
Wow. Okay, so again, engine relight problems.
Everything continues to go
On that
well with
third
the ship,
relight,
as
they
you
had
can
to
see there
keep
on
that
your
in mind.
screen.
But it made it to its target zone, which is important for any sort of investigation.
Yeah, we've got about
That
a
very
minute
much looked like
left
target zone.
with the ship engines on. Just looking at the booster real quick, it didn't look like we lit all 13 engines that we were planning for that initial landing burn. We were targeting a softer splashdown, and as you saw, it came in with quite a bit of velocity still. So landing velocity did look a little bit high, but really cool to make it all the way back this time to the landing burn. We'll dig in, figure out how to turn on all those engines, and then get to a full landing sim. But all eyes on ship. We are just a little ways away from getting those engines turned off. We expect it to burn about 8 minutes and change. And so hopefully just about 15 minutes to go. Sounds like we just got
This is something for the boosters.
Yeah, for sure.
You heard that?
That was awesome.
booster splashdown.
Nice.
And engine shutdown.
Here we go. We have arrived in our cold space. Oh, this is good to see. Okay, so the ship is absolutely nominal so far.
All right,
The booster
Starship
is
6
in the
Raptor
third.
engines have successfully shut down.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And there's our call out for nominal orbit insertion. So we got a ship in space. We've got a booster in the Gulf where we were planning to send it. It's a hell of a start to the day, Kate.
Yeah, it sure is. All of our colleagues here are filing in through the doors. A lot of people wanted to stay outside and hear the boom. And so it's pretty great to see a ship in space, and everybody's super excited out here.
That's right. And as guaranteed, it has been an awesome day so far. All this action in just 9 minutes now, and objectives are done for the booster. Just want to quickly flag that that booster did land in a clear zone. We clear those before launch, well ahead, so that we ensure everyone is safe before the launch and after. So we're getting ready now for our in-space objectives.
Yeah, we've got a few minutes until the next milestone, so sit tight and enjoy the space views and, of course, the space jams. We'll be back here at T plus 14 minutes to deploy our payload, which is 20 of our newest Starlink version 3 satellites. So we'll see you soon.
Okay, we have 4.5 minutes. Put the volume down on the space mic. It's here. I'm wondering if some of those black dots that